I think we just need a Quimby sign on our front lawn for this election.
Vote Quimby.
Vote Quimby.
Welcome to the edge of nowhere. They're playing games at the edges of what we know. Monster Lore Tour Podcast. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Side Trail 61 of the Monster Lore Tour Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Carr, here along with my co-host and the man who fell to earth.
Whoa.
The Moz. How are we doing today, Moz?
We had a Bowie reference last episode for this, so I think it's fitting.
I got a little tingly when I wrote that. I was like, ooh,
Nice. That's nice.
Every time
Bowie, like, yeah, cool.
Every time Bowie pops up in my brain, I get all tingly.
Yeah. I'm sure it's autoerotic somehow.
Yeah, I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
I just accept it as it is. So we have a Panspermial creature double feature for this side trail this week to follow up the first of my two Panspermia episodes. There's a bit of foreshadowing here and some tangential stuff, but our members on our Patreon at patreon.com/monsterloretour who get to listen to this before part 2 comes out will be a little ahead of the crowd here. So that and that Patreon at patreon.com/monsterloretour is only $1 a month, Moz.
But if you get to become a gold member, you can hear it before we record it.
We haven't figured out the time machine yet. I'm working on it. Stop bringing it up.
The Tesserakian podcast.
But literally, pennies a day. It's like 3 pennies a day.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Patreon.com/monsterloretour. For the first creature to be featured here, I would like to finally get into the lore of the octopus in regards to their being spaceborne rather than earthborne.
Yeah.
It's something I started slipping in mentions of all the way back in, I believe, episode 6 when it started, because that's when I started the UAP thing. So if not 6, then definitely 7. That was my first 2-parter. So now that we are on the proper topic, I figured it was proper time to address the story.
No, so we're finally on the proper talk. You've been here at my place all day. We're finally on topic.
Mm-hmm,
Great. Well done.
To talk about the octopus, my octopus friends, why I have to keep drinking that damn owl blood that tastes so nasty.
So you're our octopus teacher, is what you're saying.
Today I will be teaching about the octopus teacher.
Ah, cool.
Yes. I'm going to start. Actually, we're just looking at if they're from space or not.
Right.
Because Panspermia. I'm going to start with an article from Snopes.com, published June 19th, 2016. This article smacks of scullymuggle, definitely leaning hard to the skeptic side, but it gets to the heart of the octopus as alien theory, and shows a good example of the Panspermia debate generally. Let's read this, and then we will expound a bit more on the octopus. Does octopus DNA come from space? Claim. Researchers have discovered that octopus genomes contain alien DNA. In June 2016, a number of websites reported that according to recent study, researchers had examined octopus DNA and discovered it was either alien or from space. The DNA of octopus may not be from this world, scientists revealed. The new study concluded that octopuses actually have alien DNA. According to the study, published in the journal Nature, octopuses, and that is correct by the way, octopuses have a genome that yields an unprecedented level of complexity composed of 33,000 protein-coding genes. This number is way beyond the number that can be found in a human being.
Because they have 8 appendages that have to move at the same time. That's why.
They're one big brain, really, is what it seems like. The underlying study did not assert extraterrestrial origins for the octopus, however. Our analysis suggests that substantial expansion of a handful of gene families, along with extensive remodeling of genome linkage and repetitive content, played a critical role in the evolution of cephalopod morphological innovations, including their large and complex nervous systems. See, there you go. Large and complex nervous system. The study had been published in August 2015, and it was unclear why multiple websites suddenly picked up and ran with a completely erroneous interpretation of it nearly a year after it first appeared. The alien angle seems to have originated with a press release, which, like the study, was published in 2015. Quote, "The octopus appears to be utterly different from all other animals, even other mollusks. With its 8 prehensile arms, its large brain, and its clever problem-solving capabilities," said co-senior author Clifton Ragsdale, associate professor in neurobiology and organismal biology and anatomy at the University of Chicago. Quote, "The late British zoologist Martin Wells said the octopus is an alien. In the sense, then, our paper describes the first sequenced genome from an alien," unquote. It was clear that Ragsdale meant that the octopus was an alien metaphorically, not literally. See, I kind of disagree with that.
Yeah.
It's like a cop-out in the middle of the story there. But as is often the case, a number of web outlets seized upon the use of the word to spin up stories without first reviewing the source material. Coincidentally, a controversial paper subsequently published in the March 2018 issue of the journal Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology, titled Cause of Cambrian Explosion, Terrestrial or Cosmic, we'll actually hear from this paper in the next episode, examined whether some aspects of evolutionary theory might be better explained by positing that the precursors of some Earth organisms could have been extraterrestrial in nature. The paper offered an example, which suggested, but did not prove, that one possible explanation for why octopuses, or cephalopods, are very different from their presumed evolutionary ancestors, nautiloids, might be that their genes came, quote, "from the cosmos at large." There it is. Some genetic features from recent data in the octopus and other cephalopods provide challenging examples to conventional evolutionary thinking.
So squidspermia.
Squidspermia.
Very much.
Panspermia.
Yeah.
The genome of the octopus shows a staggering level of complexity with, as we said, 33,000 protein-coding genes.
32,000 more than Jeremy currently.
More than is present in Homo sapiens. So definitely more than I got. I will at least admit to that much. Octopus belongs to the coleoid subclass of mollusks, cephalopods, that have an evolutionary history that stretches back over 500 million years, although cephalopod phylogenetics is highly inconsistent and confusing. It means we don't really know where they came from, like how they got here, what came before them. We just don't know. Cephalopods are also very diverse, with the behaviorally complex coleoids, squid, cuttlefish, and octopus, presumably arising under a pure terrestrial evolutionary model from the more primitive nautiloids. However, the genetic divergence of octopus from its ancestral coleoid subclass is very great, akin to the extreme features seen across many genera and species noted in Eldridge-Gould punctuated equilibria patterns. Its large brain and sophisticated nervous system, camera-like eyes, flexible bodies, instantaneous camouflage via the ability to switch color and shape are just a few of the striking features that appear suddenly on the evolutionary scene. Appear suddenly.
Right.
Comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The transformative genes leading from the consensus ancestral nautilus to the common octopus are not easily to be found in any pre-existing life form. It is plausible then to suggest they seem to be borrowed from a far distant future, quote-unquote, in terms of terrestrial evolution, or more realistically, from the cosmos at large. And there it is. The paper maintained we should not discount the notion that octopus genes may have been extraterrestrial imports, which arrived in icy bolides several 100 million years ago. Icy bolides is just like the frozen meteorites or comets or whatever that fall to Earth. One plausible explanation in our view is that the new genes are likely new extraterrestrial imports to Earth. Most plausibly, as an already coherent group of functioning genes within, say, cryopreserved and matrix-protected fertilized octopus egg. Thus, the possibility that cryopreserved squid and or octopus eggs arrived in icy bolides several 100 million years ago should not be discounted, as that would be a parsimonious cosmic explanation for the octopus's sudden emergence on Earth circa 270 million years ago.
Do they think it's possible that it just became something that evolved because it came into contact with a higher version of a similar creature? Or is it totally divergent from the squid? Because it seems like they seem pretty similar.
Totally divergent.
Yeah.
They have like nothing in common genetically.
Yeah, they just look alike. It's just an anomaly.
I think we'll get into it in some further readings here, but it's they want to sell it as a bunch of different genes came together all at once, and there was this sudden jump in evolution that just created this thing that was unlike anything that ever happened before.
Like a mega mutation.
Yeah, which, I don't know, does that make any sense? Doesn't make any sense to me, but, I don't really know anything about genetics either, so...
It sounds more like something completely different from a Python perspective here.
Yeah, there you go. The octopus is definitely something completely different.
Yep.
Continuing. However, the paper also noted that, quote, such an extraterrestrial origin is an explanation of emergence, of course, runs counter to the prevailing dominant paradigm. See, they're going to ignore it because it doesn't match the current textbooks, basically.
No.
And as Efrat Livni observed in Quartz, other scientists don't necessarily find the paper's ruminations something to be taken seriously.
But they have no explanation, and they're just poo-pooing anyone who's speculating.
It's very Graham Hancockian.
Yeah.
All kinds of evidence, new evidence to be presented that is totally viable, that should at least be looked at and considered.
Right.
And they're just going to ignore it completely because it doesn't match the book they're trying to sell.
Correct.
This is the problem with our current scheme of academia.
Yeah. And people that come up through different routes instead of through the Ivy League schools are also not let into the club either. Right.
Exactly. If you don't agree with their theories, then yours will be ignored.
Yeah.
And how do you progress with that? You don't go anywhere. It's just you stagnate.
I keep mentioning Carl Jung, and he's really ostracized. Sigmund Freud is more reductionist and he's their favorite. Yeah. And Carl Jung was the interesting one, and he's not even acknowledged in most.
There you go. Edison and Tesla.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Tesla wanted to give us free energy, and they were like, what are you, crazy? We can't make any money that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Con Ed. Welcome, Con Ed.
Yeah.
The con in Ed form.
Boy. All right. Let's get back into this. I like talking about this stuff better. Quote, virologist Karen Mohling of the Max Planck Institute Molecular Genetics in Berlin isn't convinced, although she says that the paper is worth contemplating because there's still so much we don't know about the origins of life on Earth. She writes in a commentary in the same publication, quote, so this article is useful, calling for attention, and it is worth thinking about, yet the main statement about viruses, microbes, and even animals coming to us from space cannot be taken seriously. Which is nonsense.
Yeah.
By the way, we're going to prove that in the next episode, that she is so wrong on that. Evolutionary scientist Keith Baverstock from the University of Eastern Finland, in his commentary on the paper, is equally wary. The proposed theories would support an extraterrestrial origin of life, he writes. Still, they don't necessarily lead to that conclusion. There are other plausible explanations for the evidence the paper offers. So what do we have here for the two sides of the argument? We have the Earthborn octopus option, which says that the octopus sprung from a mix of ancestry and developed a vastly different genome than any other species, living or dead, that we have ever known. Or we have the theory of panspermic intervention occurring on the octopus DNA to give it these otherwise unheard of on Earth characteristics.
Yeah.
going to let you ruminate on that for just a second. Think about that.
I'm ruminating.
Which is less complex? Mm-hmm. A major factor in the octopus's alien theory is just how genetically divergent they are. See, this is going to get into your previous question, from any other species on the planet. People assume a relation due to their somewhat similar appearance.
With squid.
Especially with the squid. But there is no doubt that the squid and the octopus are vastly different genetically, as are all other creatures that may resemble the octopus in appearance. They just don't show signs of ancestral relation. Like, it's not there.
They fight in the old neighborhood a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The sharks and the jets.
The octopus will always win. They're like a giant brain.
Yeah.
They might be the smartest creatures we have.
If they had opposable thumbs on all 8 of those, you can imagine that.
Oh my goodness. If they grow hands on the other tentacles, they're taking over the world, dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's no stopping them.
Take my job down at the plant. I'll tell you that.
Once the ocean levels rise.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, they're going to come inland.
They're going to be living in the bottom levels of the skyscrapers and trap us in the top like a Rapunzel in the tower.
Yeah. Well, it's like the hurricane during that X-Files where the thing comes up through the drain. Remember that one?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Anywho, where was I? For more on this, I present an excerpt from the book Our Cosmic Ancestry in the Stars by Chandra and Kamala Wickramasinghe and Gensuke Tokoro, which I mentioned in the main episode. Chandra Wickramasinghe is essentially the godfather of Panspermia theory at this point, and is one of the writers of the paper being cited in the previous article. Here is what we have from the book. I'm going to have you read this to give me a little bit of a break, Moss.
Sounds good. But I also would say the great-grandfather's got to be, I know you mentioned some sophists who floated the idea, but the modern age was really, Francis Crick brought panspermia back. I don't know if we mentioned that in the last episode.
There's a paper, I'm 95% sure his name's on one of the papers we get into in the next episode.
There we go.
From like the 60s or something like that.
He was like the revival, the panspermia revival.
So he's the one that brought it back into the mainstream.
Oh yeah,
kind of thing.
I think I would say.
Cool. So he's like the Jerry Garcia of panspermia.
You're bringing back that.
Jerry Garcia brought back folk music, Americana, the old timey Americana stuff.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
The Grateful Squid.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. Oh wait, not squid.
Not squid.
They're not squid. Like not deer.
So that would make so if
an octopus.
If your guy's the Jerry Garcia of it, then I guess Dr. Wickramasinghe would be the David Grisham.
Oh,
who helped him do it? Helped him do it.
You're out musicking me. This is Grateful Dead lore. We're deep into Grateful Dead lore, aren't we?
If you go into Jerry's solo or quote unquote, or I should say side projects.
Before Garfunkel or after Garfunkel?
That was Simon.
Okay. Sure.
Garcia brought back like the old school, old timey Americana folk music that is so popular now, all because of him. But when he was making all those albums, the main
when he was hanging with Grisham.
Yeah, the main guy who played with him on all that was David Grisham.
Nice.
He's the guy that helped him make it mainstream again.
There you go.
It was way too long of a tangent, but get me talking about Jerry, man. Go on all day.
Back to the reading.
Are you reading something?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Maz is going to read that for us. Whatever it was I was just talking about.
If a single discovery is to serve as a watershed in the journey to proving our cosmic origins, it is a recent study of two related species, the squid and the octopus. The squid has the antiquity in the geological record that goes back to the great Metazoan explosion of multicell life forms, some 540 million years ago. The octopus apparently branches out from the squid line about 400 million years ago, presumed to have evolved from an ancestral squid. Recent DNA sequencing of the squid and octopus genomes has exploded a bombshell.
Excuse me.
We should get real special effects. If you become a Patreon, we'll have a real explosion next season. Ooh. The squid contains a very meager complement of genes, adequate to serve its modest survival needs. The emergent octopus, on the other hand, has over 40,000 genes. We humans have only 25,000 by comparison. And many of the octopus genes code for a complex brain function.
See, they're one giant brain.
Other code for a highly sophisticated camouflage capability, including rapid switches of color. The octopus is incredibly more complex in structure and performance than its squid predecessor. Where did this suite of genes coding for complex brain functions come from? They were not present in the ancestral squid or in any other living form that existed on Earth at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The clear implication is that they came from outside Earth, external to terrestrial biology, part of the cosmic heritage of life. So I should have shut up and just waited till we read this, I guess.
Well, you're just jumping ahead on me like I usually do to you.
Well, that's the question: did it come? Is there possible that there's a divergence on the branch from there, or is there not? And you're right; it doesn't seem like those folks who write the books for invertebrate zoology are right on this one.
Right. To put it directly, the real question here is, without some sort of cosmic intervention, how could the octopus diverge genetically so rapidly and drastically from all other species on the planet?
Yeah.
And why can we not find any direct connectors to any ancestral species when we have such an extensive fossil record with the phylum?
And maybe with something with that many genes, complex genes, and that big of a brain, maybe that's the one thing we do take off the sushi menu.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, even us, I forget the exact number, but we're well into 90 percentile. Like, what is it, 98% DNA is the same as a chimpanzee?
Yes.
Like, very minor variation.
Right.
You can kind of see the evolution of it.
Yeah, this thing's totally...
This is completely so different. Like, there's nothing to connect it to genetically, which, I mean, that's an outlier if there ever was one, you know what I mean?
I do vaguely remember the Ancient Aliens episode on this.
Yeah. And we'll be getting a little bit more into this in the next episode as well. But that's kind of my case of octopus from space there. Mm-hmm. Is just, where the hell else would it have come from?
Garden. And John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
You got to paint your submarine yellow to find that.
It's a different James Cameron mission there.
Yeah. But it's like, to me, it harkens back to like the hollow moon, where it stops making sense that it's just a normal thing at a certain point. Yeah. It's so weird and it's so divergent and so different and doesn't really make sense that it starts, the hollow moon theory. I always forget the guy's name, but a famous physicist I quoted in that episode said that the most likely explanation for the moon is observational error, that we're just hallucinating it because it makes no sense.
Yeah,
like, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
this is like that. Like, at a certain point, it's so different, it's so divergent, we have no connections. It seems statistically more likely that it would be something that just came from space.
Well, I mean, maybe God
it's almost simpler that way.
Maybe God just put it there to inspire Roger Waters many billions of years later.
Roger Waters with the octopus? Do you mean H.P. Lovecraft?
No, the moon and Dark Side of the Moon. I mean,
the moon. Well, you're going back to the moon. I went back to the octopus.
All right. Well,
can we put octopus on the moon just to see what happens?
Well, then that's where the Simpsons come from. The invaders that keep showing up are octopus from space.
Well, I mean, if you go back to episode 7, my initial thought experiment.
Simpsons or MLT?
MLT.
Okay.
They might be, the original aliens. They might be in the moon.
Yeah.
Already. I just thought of that. That's a deep thing. I'm not going down that road right now. That's an ahu guano. We don't do ahu guanos in the side trails.
We just did.
Yikes, we did, I guess, huh? That was kind of an ahu guano. Should I go back and play the bumper? It wouldn't make any sense.
Nope.
Anywho, for our next featured creature in this creature double feature, my New England friends will get that, we will be looking at the ubiquitous tardigrade.
Cocaine space bear.
Yeah, tardigrades and octopus all at the same time. Yeah, the water bear. Exactly. Good job, Moz. This is a bit of foreshadowing that I was talking about for the next episode. So for the members who hear it in the Patreon section, you're going to get a little ahead here. Everyone else will have to wait a few weeks for the Side Trail compilation to come out. But in the next episode, one section, we will be focusing on extremophiles. That is, life forms that like living in very inhospitable places you wouldn't think life would even be.
Like my old college housing situation.
And the most curious of these creatures has to be the tardigrade, or water bear.
Cocaine water bear.
Cocaine water bear. Huh. Like one little grain, just one little grain.
You wouldn't need a lot.
I wonder what it would do. That's like some crazy mad scientist stuff right there.
You want to get something to another planet? That's what you got to do.
There you go. I'll put them into orbit. And
That's the Radiospermia Plus.
And since we won't have time to go into the details of the tardigrade specifically in the episode, we're going to do it here in the sideshow. Something we will be discussing in detail in the next episode is anhydrobiosis.
I thought you were going to say Anheuser-Busch.
Anhydrobiosis, which is a process in which a creature dehydrates itself down to a literal husk of its former self, but somehow maintains the ability to resurrect itself when environmental factors become hospitable again.
This is the movie Hangover. Back to that.
It kind of ties into the Side Trail compilation, which is one story from Owl Week, the previous episode, episode 60. And go back and listen to the previous episode. You'll hear about some creatures who can do that sort of stuff in the desert. But for another example, it's like out in Winslow, where it's scrub desert and super dry. But when it rains, all of a sudden there springs from the ground thousands of toads.
Everything was there, yeah.
Well, it's toads.
Yeah.
They come out and they start singing a chorus to the joys of life as the storm rolls off to other wares.
Dang.
It's really cool to hear toads singing in the desert all of a sudden, man.
Yep.
But then, when the puddles and potholes run dry, the toads once again bury themselves in the sand and dry out, laying in stasis and hydrobiosis until the next life-giving rain decides to fall.
It's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
That is awesome.
But anhydrobiosis is just one of the tardigrade superpowers. These things are like the Superman of the extremophile realm. So yeah, cocaine water bears, man. Here is an article from earthsky.org, published June 10th, 2021, to explain. Headline: Why NASA sent tiny water bears into space.
They're mean.
Because they deserved it. A new experiment aboard the International Space Station is studying tardigrades. Tiny creatures also known as water bears because of the way they look under a microscope. They look like they're made out of water. They're totally translucent. Tardigrades can tolerate the hottest and coldest environments on Earth and can survive decades without water. The new experiment, called Cell Science-04, aims to identify the genes involved in water bears' ability to survive and adapt to high-stress environments, including the one astronauts experience in space. NASA said scientists hope the findings can help guide research into protecting humans from the stresses of long-duration space travel. The tardigrades arrived at the ISS on June 5th, 2021, via the SpaceX Dragon cargo spacecraft. Dun, dun, dun. But the Cell Science-04 water bears aren't the first tardigrades to visit space.
Sea monkeys were first, is my understanding.
Sea monkeys always go first.
The Russians got them there.
In 2007, a European research team sent 3,000 living tardigrades into Earth orbit for 12 days on the outside of a Photon-M3 rocket. 68. Now remember what we said about survivability in the episode. When things come back through
Right.
you get
Re-entry.
about, you only get like maybe 4 or 5% of them left, right? Most of them die and the rest are all kind of mutated. Yeah. Tardigrades, 68% of them survived.
Yeah.
68% of them survived.
Re-entry.
Re-entry.
Yeah.
That's friggin' Superman percentages right there.
Yeah.
Or else they've been through this before and they got that genetic boost from the previous transports.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
Back to the article. This time, the water bears will live on board inside special science hardware that lets scientists carry out long-term studies of cultures of cells, tissues, and microscopic animals in space by allowing real-time remote monitoring and control over the tardigrades' living conditions. They do some pretty crazy stuff to these guys up there. Man.
I'd like to be the first to start to fight for tardigrade rights.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think we're being a little harsh on those little fellas.
Fight for your right to tardigrade. Yeah. Next subheadline, microscopic water bears to help protect astronaut health. This is kind of interesting. Tardigrades possess superpowers when it comes to surviving really harsh conditions. They can live for up to 60 years. That does not include stasis time, by the way.
60 years of moving around and
they're
being
like
rehydrated.
If they're like 20 years old,
Yeah.
you send them to space and they do the anhydrobiosis stasis thing.
Doesn't count.
You can leave them in there for 100 years. When they come back to life,
That's
they still
part of
have
the
40
60.
years left.
Right.
They still have their other 40 years left.
Nice.
It's kind of crazy.
That is.
Anyway, they can live for up to 60 years, can survive for up to 30 years without food or water. Oh, there you go. And are able to endure temperature extremes of up to 150 degrees Celsius, 300 degrees Fahrenheit. The deep sea, and even the microgravity and elevated radiation levels of space.
Nice.
They can live anywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally anywhere.
Yeah.
And if it's a place they're not like comfortably living, they just go into stasis. Water bears survive extreme conditions by going into a state of suspended animation. Now here we go. Essentially, water bears can dry up and survive for years without water, carried around on the wind. When they do come into contact with water, they revive and get on with their lives as though nothing happened.
So radio panspermia is what you're getting at.
Oh, they're huge in that world. Yes, that's why they're here. The Cell Science 04 experiment will help reveal how tardigrades do it. University of Wyoming biologist Thomas Boothby is principal investigator of the experiment. Boothby said in a statement, quote, "We want to see what tricks they use to survive when they arrive in space, and over time what tricks their offspring use. Are they the same, or do they change across generations? We just don't know what to expect." Unquote. Boothby said that one option in the tardigrade bag of tricks could be producing tons more antioxidants to combat harmful changes in the body caused by increased radiation exposure in space. He said, quote, "We have seen them do this in response to radiation on Earth, and we think the ways tardigrades have evolved to withstand extreme environments on this planet may also be what protects them against the stresses of spaceflight." Makes sense with what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
NASA said in a statement, quote, "The research team will look at what happens with tardigrade genes in space. Knowing which ones turn on or off in response to short-term and long-term spaceflight will help researchers identify specific ways tardigrades use to survive in the stressful environment. If one solution they have is to turn up the dial on antioxidant production, for example, genes involved in that process should be affected. Checking which genes are also activated or deactivated by other stresses will help pinpoint the genes that respond exclusively to spaceflight. Cell Science 04 will then test which are truly required for tardigrade adaptation and survival in this high-stress environment. In the long run, NASA said, revealing what makes tardigrades so tolerant could lead to ways of protecting biological material, such as food and medicine, from extreme temperatures, drying out, and radiation exposure, which will be invaluable for long-duration deep space exploration missions.
And we could strap little lasers on their heads at some point.
Yeah. Bottom line, a new experiment aboard the ISS is studying tardigrades, aka water bears, to better understand how they tolerate extreme environments, including the one astronauts experience in space. Superman of the microcosm looks to be a superhero to mankind as well, potentially here, Maz.
Yeah, he's the Tony Stark of the...
They're actually, this is just rumors and hearsay at this point, of course, but apparently they call out the Chinese on it, but I guarantee there's more countries on the list are trying genetic experiments where they're like putting tardigrade DNA into human cells to see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Potential super soldier
That's a great
type,
idea.
Potential super soldier type stuff, or even potential super astronauts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can just naturally go into that stasis that you would need to do the deep space travel, I mean, that's way easier than building a ship that does it for you, right?
Or even if you're more impervious to heat or cold,
Right.
just whatever the side effects might be.
Right. Accelerated evolution. And then, send yourself into space. Like it really is like the potential of creating real life superheroes.
Yeah.
Like the boys in real life.
Yeah. I'm sure
Think of
that
it.
stuff's going on.
Yeah. I wonder if that's what's in the V. Tardigrade DNA.
Oh,
that would
that
make a
old
lot of
show,
sense.
that old sci-fi series.
No, I'm talking about the boys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back.
I don't
in
think
time.
you get Amazon Prime in your hermit cave, do you?
Yeah, I'm going back to an 80s TV show
V
called
was
V.
awesome.
There you go.
Talk about directed panspermia.
Yeah,
that was the
that
full-on reptilian invasion.
takeover. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
a great show. I actually wonder why they haven't remade that.
Yeah.
That would actually be a really good remake if they did it right.
Yep.
Anywho, back to the point here. You have to start wondering, is there nothing these tardigrades can't do? Well, as a matter of fact, there is. You may remember a while back, they don't survive everything. You may remember a while back, there was an Israeli spacecraft that crashed into the moon while carrying tardigrades. Like slammed meteorite style into the moon. And everyone was wondering
What happened to the tardigrade?
if the tardigrades would be okay after the crash.
They made it with the sea monkeys.
Yeah, see if they could actually survive on the moon. It seems that the environment would put them into their ton state, which is what it's called. They're actually a little bit beyond the anhydrobiosis. They get the cryptobiosis as well. They actually turn gelatinous. Their whole insides turn into like a gel.
They reform.
Yeah, just put themselves into stasis. It's amazing.
Wow.
There's a lot of extremophiles that can do the anhydrobiosis.
Mm-hmm.
The tardigrades have this extra element to it that just makes them so much better survivors, even past like the sea monkeys,
Right.
or like the toads.
I couldn't keep sea monkeys alive for a week. I don't think we should use those.
That makes sense.
I don't think we should use those.
They've survived billions of years in the wild. They can't survive a week in Maz's hermit cave.
The mausoleum killed them.
Oh, well, have you smelled that place? Anywho, so it seems the moon environment would put them into their ton state, TUN, or their stasis state, to wait for us to come pick them up. In however many more decades or centuries it might take us to do that at this rate. But it also seems that the impact may have been enough to do them in, actually, unfortunately. Here is one more article. This one from science.org, published 18 May 2021. Actually, you want to read this one for me?
Sure. They can survive temperatures close to absolute zero. They can withstand heat beyond the boiling point of water. They can shrug off the vacuum of space and doses of radiation that would be lethal to humans. Now researchers have subjected tardigrades, microscopic creatures affectionately known as water bears, to impacts as fast as flying bullets. And the animals survive them too, but only up to a point. The test places new limits on their ability to survive impacts in space and potentially seed life on other planets. The research was inspired by a 2019 Israeli mission called Bereshit, which attempted to land on the moon. The probe infamously included tardigrades on board. That mission managers had not disclosed to the public, and the lander crashed with its passengers in tow, raising concerns about contamination. I was very curious, says Alejandra Traspis, a PhD student at Queen Mary University of London, who led the study. I wanted to know if they were alive. Traspis and her supervisor Mark Burchell, a planetary scientist at the University of Kent, wanted to find out whether tardigrades could survive such an impact. They wanted to conduct their experiment ethically. So after feeding about 20 tardigrades moss and mineral waters, they put them into hibernation, a so-called ton state, in which their metabolism decreases to 0.1% of their normal activity by freezing them for 48 hours. Then they place 2 to 4 at a time in a hollow nylon bullet and fire them at increasing speeds using two-stage light gas gun, a tool in physics experiments that can achieve muzzle velocities far higher than any conventional gun. When shooting the bullets into a sand target several meters away, the researchers found the creatures could stand back up and fire back at the scientists.
You sons of bitches!
Dirty rat. The reachers found that the creatures could survive impacts up to about 900 meters per second, or about 3,000 kilometers per hour, and momentary shock pressures up to a limit of 1.14 gigapascals, GPa. They report this month in astrobiology. Above those speeds, they just mush, Trespass says.
So there you go. It seems the most extreme of extremophiles still has their limits. Yeah. Impressive little guys nonetheless, those tardigrades. But
yeah.
So really that's kind of, to put it in terms of what we were talking about in the episode, if you get the big meteorite that's still burning when it hits the ground, makes the big hole,
yeah,
they're not going to survive that.
Right. But the soft meteorite.
The cold meteorites, as they're referred to, which we discussed, they would survive that.
Yep.
That's only going 45 miles an hour. That's not going to reach the pressures that would kill these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And sometimes aliens try to skip them, like across the pond.
Yeah.
Like with, you know, like with a rock.
Skip them across the planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Skip them across the planet.
That's the way to do it.
But that's my side trail style abbreviated deep dive on the octopus and tardigrades.
Yeah, that's...
our members in the Patreon will be very well prepared for the next episode. Like I said, a little bit ahead of the crowd. Everyone else can get this after, and it will still be useful and connected. If you hadn't listened to the episodes yet, you're going to want to go back and do that after hearing this, and then it's almost like you're a member.
There you go.
But if you want to do it for real next time, patreon.com/monsterlore tour, just $1 a month. You get that early access.
I think, meanwhile, Jeremy and I are going to plant, tiny little octopus into the tardigrades and see if we can create some better super soldier than the Chinese.
So if you spliced tardigrade DNA with octopus DNA,
right,
could we get like flying space octopus?
Yeah. Well, that's where we come up with the flying spaghetti monster.
Like they could just fly to the moon?
Yeah. Fly. That's where Frank Sinatra would suggest.
Fly me to the moon.
Let me sing forevermore
among the stars.
Something like that.
You have a Frank Sinatra kind of looking hat over there.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Like near my H.G. Wells book.
Ooh. Seeing it all ties together, in the days of the comet.
Yeah.
Remind me, and I'll get that to you next time we get together to record. It's sitting on my desk from writing this, so I have quick access to it. So Let me know. I'll bring you the book. It's pretty short, so it's a great read.
Let's find out if it's in that book over there. I can.
Oh yeah, you might have it already. I forgot about that. Well, apparently my brain's not working anymore, so let's get out of here. Let's shut down this side trail. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody for joining the Patreon. Patreon.com/monsterlore tour. Until the next time, stay groovy, baby. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Side Trail 62, Monster Lore Tour, Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Carr, here with my co-host in the Panspermiator, shedding microbes all over the studio, the Mr. Maz. How we doing, Maz?
Good until that opening there.
Well, I mean, you are covered with viruses, right?
Oh, yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
I thought those were the meth bugs, but okay.
Yeah, the viruses make you forget about them so quickly.
Yeah. We're going to get into mind viruses. This is only the beginning of the weirdness. Mine gets more monstrous.
The little stuff creeps me out. It really does.
Yeah, it's going to.
Yeah, the virus thing in Panspermia.
Danny DeVito, who's going to replace you, probably creeps you out too. I'm still in connections to try to get Danny DeVito to replace you in season 3.
Cool. Let's do it.
Yep.
I really look forward to it.
Then you could just produce.
Yeah.
Or produce something else. Yeah. Even better.
I'll even write his scripts for him. I'll still do all the research.
Right, you're epitaph.
Yeah. He might stab you, though.
Well, I've seen...
He's a little stabby, I hear.
Well, I'm ready. That's the penguin.
I'm going to sit in the booth over there so that I don't get stabbed.
All right.
I just watch Always Sunny too much, maybe.
Oh, I was thinking penguin.
Yeah.
You Always Sunnied me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Frank's very stabby. Yeah. But anywho, I'm going to try to finish on an up note here for the Panspermia stuff. So for this side trail, I'm going to discuss the helpful side of Extremophiles, as I mentioned in the episode, as it pertains to their skills at bioremediation. Let's start with our typical wikinition of bioremediation. Wiki says bioremediation, quote, broadly refers to any process wherein a biological system, living or dead, is employed for removing environmental pollutants from air, water, soil, flue gases, industrial effluents, etc., in natural or artificial settings.
Nice.
Cleaning things up, basically. Just cleaning up whatever kind of mess.
Yep.
Bioremediation. And
We call it editing here at MLT.
There you go. The biological version of the editing process. And it turns out that there are a multitude of extremophiles that are super talented at cleaning up after us.
Nice.
All this different stuff. Whether it be oil, radioactive waste, plastic, or even metal or organic waste, there seems to be a naturally existing extremophile that can go in and clean up the mess. So let's start with this scientific paper I found in the PubMed Central section of the National Library of Medicine's website. It was published October 2020, and the title is, quote, Extremophilic Microorganisms for the Treatment of Toxic Pollutants in the Environment. Woo, they always use such big words on these papers. Here is the opening abstract. As concerns about the substantial effect of various hazardous toxic pollutants on the environment and public health are increasing, the development of effective and sustainable treatment methods is urgently needed. In particular, the remediation of toxic components such as radioactive waste, toxic heavy metals, and other harmful substances under extreme conditions is quite difficult due to their restricted accessibility. Thus, novel treatment methods for the removal of toxic pollutants using extremophilic microorganisms that can thrive under extreme conditions have been investigated during the past several decades. In this review, recent trends in bioremediation using extremophilic microorganisms and related approaches to develop them are reviewed, with relevant examples and perspectives. They go through all kinds of tests and learn much about the ability of different extremophiles under different conditions. We will get that info from other sources with far more accessible language for the layman, like myself and others here, as we go. But first, I'm going to jump to the conclusion. Then we'll get to some more plainly worded articles to explain all this in more detail.
You're talking about things that might eat plastics in the ocean? That's where you're getting at?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Things like that. Yep.
I'm against that, by the way, because that plastic was there first. And when you bring these outsiders who are going to eat them,
how dare they?
Other fish live on that stuff.
Yeah, that's
my understanding.
That giant continent of plastic formed itself rightfully.
Yeah, we're going to eventually be able to have the coolest kind of pirate fort. As kids, we could just go there and visit this big plastic island. And those things are going to just start eating it away. Your shoreline that you kind of buy from Mark Zuckerberg is just going to disappear.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I'm waiting for the day they build a roller coaster on the Pacific Garbage Patch. That'd be a fun ride.
It'd be a little up and down. Yep.
Yeah. All right. But anywho, so here's the conclusion of the paper we just heard the opening for. When considering all the aspects presented in this review, extremophilic microorganisms appear as attractive bioagents for the cleanup of toxic pollutants contaminating the environment.
Hey, gorgeous.
Due to their unique characteristics such as toughness, adaptability, and strong resistance to extreme conditions. Obviously, hence the name.
Yep.
Although many challenges still need to be addressed, the adoption of extremophilic microorganisms for the development of bioremediation processes is an environmental imperative for us to meet the needs of global public health. Indeed, combining extremophilic microorganisms with biotechnology and nanotechnology will open new avenues toward developing highly efficient and eco-friendly methods for the treatment of toxic pollutants. Sounds to me like extremophiles might save the world.
Well, they better
from us.
They better get going.
We got to get on it now. We better hurry the hell up. Yeah, no kidding. But I mean, and you know, the whole put the technology together with these things, these naturally occurring extremophiles delivered through some sort of like nano or biotechnology that, pinpoint the problems and stuff. And like, what if we can find something that will eat all that
But
CO2.
shouldn't we try to preserve
plastic.
some of the international wastelands like that big garbage patch? Like sometimes you just like, we want to save that because
for posterity?
yeah, because we could play on it. There is implications for fun.
Life is evolving on that thing.
Yeah.
There's sea creatures
Exactly.
living to learn off plastic.
How is the
which
smog
frightening.
monster ever going to fight Godzilla if we start cleaning shit up? That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate here.
So you're rooting for the smog monster? Is that what you're saying?
I just want him to at least fight Godzilla to make one more good Godzilla movie.
Ooh, Godzilla versus the garbage patch. What if
That's
the
right.
garbage patch gets hit by lightning and the primordial soup that's been collecting inside all that plastic is ignited into life and it like stands up like one big giant
That's
plastic beast, and then Godzilla has to fight it.
that's kind of the smog monster already. But
Plastic.
yeah, it's a different variation. It would be like the smog monster's child, son of smog monster.
Plastra.
Plastra.
Lord of garbage.
Ad Plastra. How about that?
Plastra. What the hell's going on? Let me get back to my notes. To get more specific on how microbes could save the world, here is an article from the website bowseat.org. It's for boats. Published February 15th, 2023. Last summer in a research lab, I threw some fungi into a flask full of motor oil. The idea was ridiculous, but with no other food, it successfully decomposed the petroleum into food, recycling it into non-toxic substances.
Oil that suspect.
Pretty impressive. See, these fungi may actually be promising solutions to oil spills for centuries to come. Today's ecosystems face terrible threats: climate change, global warming, industrial pollution. On March 24th, 1989, the Exxon Valdez oil spill leaked 11 million gallons of petroleum into our seas. And while devastating, this event sparked a never-before-seen global interest in watershed protection. We've come to realize that such pollution poisons marine habitats and suffocates wildlife. The scientific world has since raced to develop efficient cleanup techniques, like bioremediation. Bioremediation is the usage of live organisms to break down environmental pollutants. Earth's marvelous myriad of biodiversity offer novel solutions to age-old problems. For instance, within plastic landfills in 2016, Japanese scientists discovered a bacteria that decomposes polyethylene terephthalate, PET, the most common plastic. Ideonella sacchaensis can consume a plastic bottle in under 24 hours, compared with the 450 plus years it normally takes for PTE to break down. It was one of the fastest evolutionary responses to our environmental destruction that scientists had ever seen. PET products have only been around for 50 years, and yet Ideonella sacchaensis had already incorporated them as nutrient sources. 50 years. Through genetic engineering, researchers have been working to make Ideonella sacchaensis more effective, such as being able to decompose polyethylene furanoate as well.
A better life through bioengineering.
I can't even pronounce all these things that are going to kill us.
Your plasticals and you.
Tis the future. That's how we're going to replace the Y chromosome right there. Sorry. Continuing, and beyond plastic-eating bacteria, evolution has instilled us with heavy metal accumulating plants, oil spill-eating fungi, and many more wondrous creatures. In my lab, I worked with wild-type Aspergillus fungi, which was found degrading crude oil in Gulf of Mexico soils after the largest oil spill in history. We wanted to see if it would grow directly in water instead of land, and it did. After 12 days, the Aspergillus consumed all of the glycerol, a major biofuel production byproduct we had given it. And it even began to grow in the motor oil flask, Who knew that the decade-old motor oil bottle my mentor refused to throw away would actually come to use? Bioremediation cleanup methods are healthier compared to industrial technology because they are all natural. Rather than utilizing invasive techniques like dispersants, which introduce foreign toxins, organisms decompose the oil into safer biodegradable substances. There are some obstacles, though, before bioremediation can be largely implemented. Its rates vary largely by organism used, concentration, and type of pollutant, and environmental conditions, among other factors scientists are working to standardize. Still, bioremediation is not the best solution because we can't rely on evolution to solve our pressing environmental crisis. More than 380 million tons of plastic waste, 50 billion tons of greenhouse gases, and 1.2 trillion gallons of industrial water waste are produced every year. While bioremediators can help us fight climate change, the biggest steps towards a brighter future must come from us. The civil actions we take and corporate accountability we demand. Science is a product of humanity, and one of our greatest gifts is the capacity to think and innovate. But I also think that it's more important now than ever to recognize that nature is full of innovation too. Bacteria that cunningly made food out of plastic. Fungi that cleverly fed off the petroleum we spill. Really, these creatures are just like us. We're all trying to make the best of our time on Earth, so let's work together in protecting it. I really like that message. We are part of nature, people, whether we like it or not, and there's nothing we can do about it. So let's work together, huh?
Yeah. Novel idea.
Yeah. So they certainly can help, but not necessarily a cure-all, is basically what we're looking at.
Yeah, they don't want this to be like, hey, keep polluting because these things might eat some of it.
Right. I mean, they could definitely be a huge help in fixing the problems we've created, but they're not just going to solve the problem.
No.
They're just going to help.
Yeah.
But very impressive little guys nonetheless.
Yeah.
But really it's even more impressive because this goes way beyond petroleum products. Mm-hmm. I did like to focus on that first because it's one of our biggest issues, but fungi may be able to break down oil waste and some bacterias as well. But there are other bacteria that do the same to radioactive waste.
Nice.
This is like whole next level type stuff right here. Yeah. So here's an article from phys.org, published May 26, 2015, with the headline, Extremophile bacteria could be key to solving nuclear problems. You want to read this one for me, Moss?
Radiation-tolerant bacteria could be even more effective at clearing up nuclear waste through natural processes than previously thought. Last year, a team from the University of Manchester discovered an extremophile microorganism in the Peak District capable of breaking down organic material that is present in nuclear waste, preventing the organic compounds from leaching out key radioactive elements into the environment. Other studies from the group have shown that land contaminated with radioactive waste can also be cleaned up by bacteria that convert soluble forms of radionuclides, such as uranium, to insoluble forms that are less hazardous and mobile. However, for this to be useful, a critical question has needed addressing for some time: whether these unusual naturally occurring activities are killed off by radiation associated with the radioactive waste. Now, in a new paper published today in the journal Applied and Environmental Microbiology, the team explains how they have discovered that radiation could actually allow certain microbes to thrive rather than killing them, possibly including a species known to transform radioactive material into much more stable forms. Hence, radiation could make them more effective in the cleanup of contaminated land or in contributing to the safety of radioactive waste disposal in the long term. Professor Jonathan Lloyd, who has led the research at the University of Manchester, said, "This could provide a new and very useful extra layer of protection when we are trying to dispose of nuclear waste." There are advanced plans on how this can be done safely, often involving the use of concrete and steel barriers, but there is recognition that at some point in the distant future these barriers will be breached. But by assessing the ability of these useful microbes to survive radiation stress, we can be more confident that the waste will remain locked up for very long periods of time, many thousands of years, held by a naturally evolving biobarrier. For this research, the assumption was that the radiation would probably kill off the bacteria that we are studying, but it seems that is not the case. It is potentially a very important finding for the nuclear industry and illustrates how resilient biology can be. Getting rid of nuclear waste poses a big problem for the UK, with very large volumes destined for burial deep underground. The largest volume of radioactive waste, termed intermediate level and comprising of 364,000 cubic meters, enough to fill 4 Albert Halls, will be encased in concrete prior to disposal into underground vaults. When groundwaters eventually reach these waste materials, they will react with the cement and become highly alkaline.
And potentially kill us all. And
Nice.
boom goes the dynamite.
Nice.
So, they left us off at a pretty dark spot there, but focusing on the bioremediation.
They're burying this Albert Hall guy in concrete, is my understanding.
Yeah, but this bacteria they found, if they could dump a bunch of that down there to grow on the stuff and thrive on the stuff and build a colony all over it, and could eat it down to where by the time the water gets there, it won't be dangerous to us anymore. See that?
Yeah. See what you did there.
Yeah, this is one of the cases where the extremophile bioremediation could be most useful to us.
In Albert Hall, specifically.
In 4 Albert Halls,
Halls.
worth of materials. Do we know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall?
Is that like how many licks it
Excuse
takes
me.
for the lollipop?
No, it's just the Beatles. So,
We're so sorry.
so far we've been speaking in generalities. You might be asking how we are implementing this and how, actually doing it in real life at this point. Because so far they're just talking about what could
Theoretical,
be done. Laboratory stuff. So we know how it works. So how are we doing it in the real world? And for that, I bring you this. Another article from phys.org, one of my favorite sources. The phys is PHYS. It stands for physics. It's the physics page. As a layman physicist and philosopher, it's a wonderful place to go read stories that I can actually understand. This was published on October 25th, 2017. Here we will see a real-life application of the extremophile oil cleanup process that we talked about earlier. The headline is, "A natural strain of fungus could clean oil spills and return life to Alberta's oil sands." Quote, "The current methods of restoring these sites are not as cost-efficient or energy-efficient as they could be and can cause more environmental disruption," said Susan Kaminsky, a professor in the Department of Biology. Quote, "Our biotech innovation should help to solve this type of problem faster and with less additional disturbance." Kaminsky led a research team that included 3 biology students and a postdoctoral fellow in the U of S College of Arts and Science. Results from their work, funded by the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, were published in the journal PLOS1. About 800 square kilometers of Alberta's Athabasca oil sands are covered in coarse tailings. Some of the leftover materials from refining surface-mined bitumen. Contaminated with an oily residue, lacking nutrients and resistant to absorbing water, coarse tailings are a hostile environment to both plants and soil microbes. But after tailings lie exposed for a decade or so, a few weedy plants often manage to take root. One of these, a dandelion, was obtained by the U of S team in 2007 upon being discovered growing naturally on a coarse tailing site. From its roots, former college student Xiaohui Bao isolated a unique strain of fungus. The researchers soon found that the fungus, which they named TSTH20-1, has a remarkable property. When its spores are applied to plants, those plants grow and thrive on coarse tailings. There are lots of microorganisms out there that eat hydrocarbons for a living. But what is really neat about this one is that it's in symbiosis with a plant, said Tim Rapace, one of the paper's authors. quote, "It's not only eating the hydrocarbons, but it's letting the plant survive in these environments," unquote. That's huge right there. Implications, Maz. Continuing, in Kaminsky's laboratory, more than 90% of seeds treated with TSTH20-1 sprouted on coarse tailings. More than 90%, while none of the untreated seeds sprouted. Tomato seedlings treated with the fungus flourished on tailings even without fertilizer and grew to produce tomatoes. As the plants grew, they also cleaned the soil beneath them. Petrochemical residues in the tailings were broken down, creating a healthier growth environment. The fungus was even able to grow directly on diesel, crude oil, and similar materials as its only nutrient source. The first time this ability has been seen in a member of this fast-growing group of fungi. The researchers concluded that TSTH20-1 has excellent potential to restore many types of petrochemical spills, as well as coarse tailing sites. Seeing these properties together in one organism is exciting, said Rapace, a recent Master of Science in Biology graduate who now works as an environmental scientist. It means the TSTH20-1 fungus is, quote, multi-talented, quote, so we can do the remediation and the reclamation of a site at the same time, Rapace said. Ordinarily, remediation, or removing contaminants from a site, is done separately from reclamation, restoring the land to near its original state. In the event of a spill, contaminated soil is often scraped up and hauled away in a lengthy and expensive process. New soil is then brought in to the area and seeded with native plants. Quote, with our process, they could just lay down our treated seeds and then check on the site every so often, said Kaminsky. They could put less energy, more effectively, into a much larger space, unquote. The next step is proving the method works in the real world. The team has already started tests at 2 petrochemical spill sites in Alberta and British Columbia and expects to begin seeing results next year. The researchers are also seeking industry partners who would like to test the process at oil sands tailings sites or at oil spills. So they're out there doing it. Another area of further investigation will be the mechanism by which TSTH20-1 achieves its effects. One clue is the increased levels of enzymes called peroxidases that the team found being secreted by plants colonized by the fungus. Peroxidases can break down any kind of chemical bond, and they appear to be deeply involved in decontaminating the petrochemical component of tailings, said Kaminsky. Knowing more about how TSTH20-1 works could help with identifying additional organisms that grant similar benefits to plants. The researchers are currently studying 10 new candidates isolated from plant roots. Think about this, Maz. So, you got a mountain somewhere, say in West Virginia, that's been destroyed by fracking and is completely polluted by the runoff petrochemical stuff that it leaves behind. Within a very short period of time, if we can perfect this method, you can have like a food farm growing on that site, cleaning it up at the same time as producing food that is edible from what used to be ungrowable soil.
I would say this. The contamination reclamation, I went to social study classes, and I approve of that.
Some good deep thought there, Maz. Thank you. But no, this one gave me kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling. I wanted, like I said, I wanted to kind of leave off on a positive note after the weird, creepy, especially viral stuff in the Panspermia episodes. But
I ended with Roundup, if I recall.
Yeah, that's a dark place to end up. Dark place to end up.
So the Monsanto aliens will be rounding us up.
Yeah, and there you go. And maybe at some point we can find some kind of fungus to eat the Roundup and then protect the plants all on its own without having to spray them.
I think we should go right for the Monsanto plants with yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, something that would eat them.
Wow.
Well, Monsanto.
That's like layers of monstrousness just piled up.
I mean,
right
they are
there.
feeding people, so we have to Maybe we need to.
Yeah, like instead of GMOs and like genetically modifying the specific food so that it's not even what it's supposed to be anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we use things like this that we just like use in symbiosis with the actual real food,
right?
That helps it grow better and protects it and stuff. Like all these genetic things that they're doing that make it different. I mean, it's stuff that if we took the time, we could probably figure out a natural process like what we're talking about in this side trail to do the same thing without having to make our food poison.
Someone says what works best, what makes most money, and that's it.
Right. It's what makes most money.
And it comes back to, what makes most money.
A pineapple takes like 3 years to grow.
Yeah.
What you buy in the store that they call a pineapple was grown in like a matter of a few weeks.
But, that makes Alex Bone's pizza choices of topping even more disturbing. It took 3 years, and then he's just going to put it on pizza, so I peel it off and throw it at the wall in the back by the wash. I'm just saying.
But like just because it looks like a pineapple, if it grew in like 1/10 of the time it's supposed to take to grow,
then I'd still be mad at Alex Bone for his pizza topping choices. I'm just saying that.
Whether it's
for the record,
whether it's on pizza or not, is that a pineapple? Is that still a pineapple? A pineapple takes years to grow. This was grown in a matter of a few weeks.
But does it have the same nutritional value?
There's no way it could. I don't see how it could.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like you see stuff online all the time about Americans go to Europe and all of a sudden they can eat bread and pasta and gluten stuff
not
again
be sick.
and not be sick and actually feel really good after.
Yeah.
And then they come home and they're like, and they try to eat it here and it just instantly sick again.
Well, we have the lowest life expectancy of any country in the West now officially.
Yeah.
Which I predicted.
It's because our food is poison.
Yeah.
It's not even food.
Yeah. Not the way I cook it anyway.
And they sneak it in on you, man. I bought some, I'm going to throw Bash's under the bus. I went to Bash's and they had their store brand potato chips on sale for like $2 a bag.
Yeah.
And I read the ingredients list and it was very basic. It was potatoes and salt and palm oil or whatever oil it was. I was like, good ingredient list. That's actually, looked like real food, right? Let's just say, I'll spare you the details, did not process through my system very well.
Yeah.
So I went back and looked at the bag, and like you got the nutrient chart that they make them put on there, the ingredients right under it, and there's a bunch of other stuff. And then below that I didn't see until after I'd eaten most of them, it says this product contains bioengineered food stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't real potatoes.
Yeah.
They get to say potato in the ingredients, but it's not actually a potato. They grew it in a lab.
No, I think every snack food aisle now says that same line.
Yeah, you can't buy it, and you can't buy potato chips are not made from actual potatoes.
You can't make anything
anymore
in the snack aisle that isn't made with exactly that phrasing.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that in Boogles or Boggles or whatever those horn things are.
And believe me, your body can tell the difference.
Oh, yeah.
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 Damn it, I was supposed to leave this on an up note. This just got really dark again.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I tried.
Well, if you burp instead of fart, that'll be a beginning.
All right, let's get out of here before I make it even worse. Anything to add us a burp before we go, Moss?
Well,
Well said. All right, so that does it for this side trail. We will see everybody in, I don't even know where we're at. We'll see you in the next one. For those listening in the Patreon, thank you very much for being a member. That is patreon.com/monsterloretour, just $1 a month. And before you go, please take a moment to hit all those happy little fun buttons on whatever platform you're on, to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, all that sort of stuff. I'll leave you with that. Thanks for coming. To all my fellow paranerdalists out there, stay groovy, baby. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Side Trail 64 of the Monster Lore Tour Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Carr, here with my co-host and the guy that goes bump in the night, Mr. Matt Ozero, a.k.a. The Moz. How we doing, Moz?
That's TMI, I think.
You're bumping in the night?
Yeah, let's leave that out.
Okay. Okay.
Enough of that.
Except it's the intro to this whole thing.
Could lead to dancing.
Ooh, dancing. We should go dancing after this. But this is a side trail for an episode that is actually coming out on Election Day. We don't really get political on this podcast, but we are still going to talk about the White House on Election Day because this is the Ghosts of the White House side trail.
Nice.
There's actually a number of famous ghosts. I found some interesting things about this whole thing that I think I might be bringing a little bit something new. I know a lot of people know about some of these ghosts. Some of them are a little more obscure. I was aware of some of these, not of others going into it. So that I think that's kind of a baseline for most people listening to this at this point. But so we're going to start with the most commonly noted White House ghost, and that is the ghost of Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure everybody's heard the fact that Abe Lincoln wanders the White House to this day, supposedly.
I think he lost his car keys, and he's still trying to find those things.
Cat claws.
On the cat claws. On the cat claws.
Oh, no, that's in my head. But yeah, so I'm going to read you a little bit here from Ranker.com, who has a whole thing on White House ghosts. This is the headline, Abraham Lincoln's Ghost Greets Noteworthy Visitors. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most frequent haunts of the White House. He's been spotted looking out the windows in various rooms, pacing the floor, and knocking on doors and walls. His spirit has allegedly revealed itself to visitors on multiple occasions. One night in 1942, while Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands was staying at the White House, there was a knock on her door. She opened it, saw Lincoln's ghost wearing his traditional top hat, and passed out from fright. Another instance occurred during World War II while Winston Churchill was visiting the White House. He emerged from his bathroom, naked and with a cigar in his hand, only to see the spirit of Lincoln sitting in front of the fireplace in his room. Churchill exclaimed, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at a disadvantage." That's a great line. Lincoln's ghost. Yeah, Lincoln's ghost, according to Churchill, then laughed and faded away. So even Lincoln laughed at that
exchange.
One. Yeah, that Churchill, man, he got some lines. Can I do my favorite Churchill line?
Sure. This woman goes, "If you were my husband, I'd poison you." He looks at her and goes, "If you were my wife, I'd drink it."
Oh, he was like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Yep. I swear that's what he'd be doing if he was around today. He'd have himself a TV show doing comedy. Oh, he'd be hosting a late-night comedy show. That's what he'd be doing. He'd be like fighting Colbert for ratings or something.
Late show.
And then we have this from the SeattleTimes.com about some more Lincoln ghost stories. In his research, Broach said he found that Lincoln seems to be the most common visitor among the White House ghosts, and also the one who carries the greatest burden. Quote, "They say Lincoln always comes back whenever he feels the country is in need or in peril. They say he just strides up and down the second-floor hallways and raps on doors and stands by windows." Does make you wonder if he's been around lately. In a 1989 Washington Post article, White House curator Rex Scouten said that President Ronald Reagan had commented that his dog would go into any room except the Lincoln bedroom. He'd just stand outside the door and bark, Scouten said. So there you go. The dog was a little freaked out by the bedroom. That's sometimes a sign.
Yeah. Ending of the bells, the animals know.
I wonder if anyone in the last couple of administrations here has heard random knockings on their door at night.
Yeah.
And if they would put it together with a story like that. Yeah. Because we don't seem to have more. There was like a pretty common thread of Lincoln's
sightings.
Ghost between, like from the earliest days, after his passing through Winston Churchill and like the World Wars and stuff like that. It was actually a pretty common thing to hear Lincoln ghost stories at the White House. You don't really hear it anymore. And it makes me wonder if it's people just not noticing or them not wanting to report it, or if it's just not happening, if the spirit does eventually fade.
Yeah.
Or if people just aren't as open to it. Makes me want, it just, just generally, why isn't that happening anymore,
Well, I know when they did the reconstruction, there was some really famous picture of him kind of standing there. They even have pictures of he's not in a section that's finished, and there's this Lincoln-y looking ghost.
Oh, wow.
Standing. It was kind of the spookiest one I remember when I've done my little Ghost of the White House perusing the web kind of stuff.
I didn't know there were pictures of his ghost.
Yeah, it's like one of them is standing in the new construction area where they think would be something relevant to his
This is why I made you my podcast partner, because you even have more information than I do on the things I research.
There
sometimes.
you go. So,
Maz is the most informed paranerdalist I know.
yes, not what your poltergeist can do for you.
But what you can do for your poltergeist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. I'm glad you
Okay.
finish it because you got the better Massachusetts.
Yeah, you got to do
accent
that.
there. Yeah.
You got to do
Arrah.
the Teddy
Yeah.
Kennedy, not the John Kennedy.
Gotcha.
Because Teddy had the real. That's where Mayor Quimby comes from. That's Teddy Kennedy, not John. You know,
It's important. Important Simpsons lore.
It's a small but important difference.
Yeah.
Small but important. Moving on, it seems Abe Lincoln isn't the only president to actually haunt the president's house. We also have sightings of President Andrew Jackson in the White House. Here's a little bit on that from constitutioncenter.org. Do you want to read this section for us, Moz?
Another famous president who still could be seeking a longer term in the White House is Andrew Jackson. The reported encounters with Old Hickory are not sightings, but hearings. And what people reportedly hear from Jackson is a lot of cursing from the 19th century president. One person who believed Jackson's spirit remained in the White House was Mary Todd Lincoln, who held regular seances there after her son Willie died. It was also reported Jackson encountered during the administration of President Dwight Eisenhower.
There you go. So up through the world wars and stuff, and
Yeah.
Before what we would call the modern day presidents.
Yeah, who just dismissed that.
Ghosts all over the place.
Yeah.
But it sounds like President Jackson had quite the vulgar vocabulary as well. There were actually some recent reports of Andrew Jackson's ghost again wandering the White House and cussing up a storm, but it turned out it was just Joe Biden trying to listen to a Trump speech. That's the only political joke I'm going to make.
Okay.
He does swear a lot, apparently, but,
Yeah.
Don't we all at this point?
All right.
But back to the ghosts. The other thing we learned there is that we had some full-on seances going on in the White House back in the day. 'Twas a good reason for this, though.
It was the night before Christmas.
'Twas 1800s language. 'Twas a good reason. If you look at it right, for young William Wallace Lincoln, did you know that Abe Lincoln's son was named after William Wallace? William Wallace Lincoln.
Nice.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that till I wrote this. But young William Wallace Lincoln was one of only 10 people who have died inside the White House in its storied history.
Yeah.
So very sad. They did lose a son
That we know of.
in the White House that they've told us about.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
There's
ones
a
on
lot
the
more.
official record.
There's a lot of aides just disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the story of William Wallace's death. Willie Lincoln, son of Abraham Lincoln, February 20th, 1862. William Wallace Lincoln, the third of Abraham and Mary Todd Lincoln's 4 children, died of typhoid fever in 1862, becoming yet another possible victim of Washington's unsanitary water supply. The 11-year-old died in the White House's Prince of Wales room, which has since become the president's dining room. President Lincoln was grief-stricken by Willie's bedside, saying, quote, "My poor boy, he was too good for this earth. God has called him home. I know that he is much better off in heaven, but then we loved him so. It is hard to have him die." So you can see why his mom would get into seances at that point. There is no record of William's ghost in the White House, but there is one notable ghost that I think might fit the bill that nobody's connected before. So here's my new thing. Hear me well, then tell me if I be truthful. I speak of now The Thing, a terribly nasty moniker given to the ghost of what appears to be a teenage boy that likes to pop up and start trouble once in a while. This is from Ranker.com again. Headline, "The Thing Scared President Taft's Domestic Staff." 1911 was the year of The Thing, a nickname given to the ghost of a 15-year-old boy. I don't know why they say 15 specifically, but the ghost of a 15-year-old boy who haunted the White House during the Taft administration. He would appear behind people at random, grab their shoulders as if leaning over to see what they were looking at, and then promptly disappear. Every member of Taft's domestic staff had a creepy encounter with the spirit, possibly even President Taft himself, who forbade people from talking about the ghost.
Because he made fun of his weight, I'm sure. That's probably what this was all about.
Probably.
Kids like, oh man, I got to take advantage of this administration.
Finally
going to get to use all those jokes.
Continuing on this from whitehousehistory.org, President William Howard Taft's military aide, Major Archibald Butt, that's B-U-T-T Butt, Archie Butt, wrote to his sister Clara, quote, "It seems that the White House is haunted. The ghost, it seems, is a young boy. From its description, I should think about 14 or 15 years old. They say that the first knowledge one has of the presence of the thing is a slight pressure on the shoulder, as if someone were leaning over your shoulder to see what you might be doing," unquote. So that's where they got that last piece. When Butt repeated the staff's gossip about the thing to the president, Taft flew into a, quote, towering rage. He thinks it will be a very serious thing to have the story get out among the people of the country, unquote. See, it's a cover-up, man. Mm-hmm. That's why they might not talk about this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Taft ordered Butt to tell the White House housekeeper that the first member of the staff to repeat stories about the thing would be fired.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's why they don't talk about it anymore,
yeah.
Right?
There you go. Not good publicity.
Right. Well, then, too many people will just be like, bunch of crazies in the White House, you know what I mean? Or there's going to be, in the other side, it's going to be a bunch of people like, oh, I got to go to the White House and see the ghost. Like, it's going to be bad on both ends, really, in the end, as far as their whole thing goes.
That thing.
So the unfortunately named thing is reported to be a mid-teens boy, whereas William Wallace Lincoln was only 11 when he passed. But I have some questions. Was he tall like his father? Because we all know Abe Lincoln was well over 6 feet tall, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many years does death add to an 11-year-old's appearance? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If it's an 11-year-old boy's ghost, how is that going to be perceived? And another question, doesn't the behavior seem that of a younger boy? More like that of maybe an 11-year-old rather than a 15-year-old leaning over your shoulder. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
That sounds more like an 11-year-old than a 15-year-old to me.
Yeah.
Just behavior-wise.
Yeah. So you're not ruling out the whole Willie.
So, right. I'm thinking that the thing might be William Wallace Lincoln's ghost.
There you go.
Because he actually passed in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
And Lincoln didn't actually die in the White House. He was president, but he died down the street.
Mm-hmm.
But his ghost is said to be there. Pretty much the most commonly reported one to be there. Would it maybe be that he went back there as the ghost because his kid was there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. That's where the kid died. That could be a bigger connection between why Abraham Lincoln is tied to this spot.
It is
a family who knows a lot about. I mean, the Mary Todd Lincoln was pretty famous for being more of being a power, if you will, to some degree.
Yep.
And if you tie that all together, they would be the obvious Adams family of the White House.
Ooh.
And Thing. And then we got the Thing connection because it's the little hand that goes around and climbs up your shoulder.
Yeah.
And just taps you on the shoulder.
The Thing. Yeah.
It is the Adams family.
It taps you on the shoulder.
Yeah.
There's two things because it's on both shoulders.
So there's that's interesting.
So the Adamses weren't the Adams family of the White House. It was the Lincolns.
Lincolns. Yep.
There were the inspiration. There were two Adamses.
They were the inspiration for Charles Adams' work.
Interesting.
I stand by that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was out hunting vampires half the time too. We know that as well from the book.
That was an awesome.
That's a really good book.
Yeah. Yep.
The whole thing tying the vampires and Lincoln hunting them into the Battle of the Five Boroughs.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good, dude.
I saw the movie. I did not read the book. Truth be told,
it makes you want it to be real. You know, it's so good. You want it to be real.
I want Buffy and Abraham Lincoln to team up.
Ooh,
yeah.
That sounds like in some sort of anime movie that needs to be made.
Yeah.
Buffy and Abe hunting vampires together. That'd be great.
If we can get the
It
funding.
it would have to be animation, I think, though.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I'll think about that.
Okay.
Not that I'm the one that's going to make it.
No, I'm leaving it to you now. That's just, I get half of whatever
There you go. There you go. So back to the point, and actually an interesting side point that I find here. If my theory on William Wallace Lincoln actually haunting the White House holds true, he would be the only one of the 10 people who died in the White House to actually haunt the place. Of all the named ghosts that have been encountered at the White House, none of them are on the list of people who actually died there. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So
typical.
Right. So it's usually it's haunted by someone who died there. They're all people who are connected to the White House in one way or another, the ghosts. But it's just weird that there have been that many people who passed in the White House, and none of them haunt the place. It's only haunted by other people.
It's still not following term limits, really, in some way.
And yeah. I mean, once you get a taste of the power, man, some people just can't give it up.
Yeah. Lincoln, it doesn't seem like he would be that kind of a ghost, but, you know.
Well, I mean, I was going to do this at the end, but the theory, you know, a lot of people theorize it's just he had one of the most, you know, emotionally charged, you know, dramatic and violent and deadly and so many words you can apply to, you know, his administration with the Civil War and the freeing of the slaves and, you know, all those Americans killing each other and the Civil War.
Of course.
And add to it, you know, the family stuff where his son actually died in the White House while he was president.
Yeah.
And then he gets assassinated. And I mean, so much of it, like all that energy, you know, that there's so much energy connected to him and his administration in that place that, I mean, that to me correlates with maybe why his ghost is the most active, and you know why it's there to begin with, and why it seems to be the most active.
But he never lost the essence of his character, because I saw him in a Star Trek, and he was, I would say, he seemed well adjusted.
And he still couldn't lie, huh?
Yeah, he did a nice job.
Oh, was that George Washington or Abe Lincoln? Which one can't tell a lie? Is that Abe Lincoln?
No, Washington
That's George
can't
Washington.
tell a lie. Yeah.
That one cracks me up because George Washington actually is credited with creating the concept of counterintelligence. Yeah. Like professional level lying. Mm-hmm. He was really good at lying.
Yeah. That's why.
Won us the war, man. Made our country real. His lying ability.
Nice.
Anywho. So back to the ghosts at hand. Abe Lincoln and Andrew Jackson seem to be the only two money face guys to haunt the White House. But there are some notable names on our list today outside of presidents. For one, it seems, First Lady Dolly Madison, wife of James Madison, has been doing her best Queen of Hearts impression in the White House Rose Garden. This is, again, from Ranker.com. Do you want to take this one for us, Moz?
President James Madison's wife, Dolly Madison, was one of the first presidential wives to embody the term First Lady, is said to haunt the White House Rose Garden. Legend has it that Madison was extremely fond of the gardens, and when other First Ladies, most notably Ellen Wilson, tried to change the garden, her ghost scared off the gardeners. Some say you can see Madison's ghost smiling among the bushes.
Ooh, yeah, that's kind of creepy, right?
Yeah, it's a little, elfy kind of,
Fairy-ish, yeah.
Fairy-ish.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she dumped her soul into the Rose Garden.
Yeah, don't be messing with that.
Imagine taking a tour of the White House and you're looking at the Rose Garden and all of a sudden one of the roses smiles at you.
Yeah.
Now you'll know who it is. Be like, what's up, Dolly?
There you go.
There have also been reports of the First Lady to ever reside in the White House, popping back into the timeline now and again. This is from the constitutioncenter.org. Abigail Adams, John Adams' wife, only stayed at the White House for a few months as its first occupant along with her husband. Thomas Jefferson was the first president to spend a full term at the residence. But some people believe Abigail Adams returns for an occasional visit to supervise the laundry. Mrs. Adams used the East Room to hang out her laundry in 1800. A sighting of her was reported there during the Taft administration, again during Taft, about 112 years later, when an apparition was seen carrying clothes in its arms. So there you go. She's still there doing her thing from I mean, there was probably constant laundry to be done in 1800, right? Like everybody was doing laundry all the time.
Keep doing like I mean, at Dolly Madison, I get she's in the garden and she's scaring. She wants to keep it pretty and she's hanging out in a cool little spot. So I'm gonna spend the afterlife just really getting ahead on this laundry because maybe it was annoying her whole life because it kept happening, and then the clothes I'm wearing are dirty now. Like this is never ending, and it really bugged her.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm gonna take care of this so that the next life I don't ever have to do laundry. I don't know what would compel her to.
That actually brings up another common theory with ghosts and what their origins may be, in that this might just be a time loop sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where she's not actually really there doing that as a ghost. You're just
this was captured there.
Yeah, you're seeing a replay of something that happened along in the year 1800 in that space.
So she's sitting there somewhere else looking, going, oh, I'm stuck in the loop in the laundry room. Like, really? Fuck you, Dolly Madison.
She might not even be aware that you're seeing that. It's just the place itself, and
I get it, but she could. She could be oh, shit.
She could.
I'm in the laundry room again.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like, that's the image I'm leaving behind.
That's what I'm leaving behind.
You're going to remember me for doing laundry?
So some podcast idiots are going to make fun of me like 100 years from now, 200.
But the simplest way to put it, it's like a double exposure on a film, on a picture. Like where you see something that's kind of ghostly, but it's just because it got a little bit of extra exposure from the previous picture or whatever. This happens, more commonly with the old actual film cameras and stuff. But that's a concept also behind just ghosts in general and what they may be. So then we have the lesser known ghosts. It gets a little darker here. But first I want to introduce you to the ghost of Anne Surratt. Going back to ranker.com for this one. Headline is The Ghost of Anne Surratt Mourns Her Mother's Execution. In 1865, Mary Surratt was arrested and executed for her role in the plan to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. Her daughter, Anne, has haunted the White House ever since. Workers have seen and heard Anne's ghost pounding on the White House's front doors, demanding her mother's release more than 150 years later. Her ghostly form also reportedly appears on the steps, mourning her mother every July 7th, the anniversary of Mary Surratt's execution.
Sure, she's just not a bill sitting on Capitol Hill, and that's some confusion.
Conjunction junction, man.
What's your malfunction?
So that's kind of sad.
Yeah,
she's still screaming.
Wants her mom's release.
But again, is it a time loop thing, and we're just seeing a highly charged moment repeating itself, or is there an actual, some level of conscious ghostly being actually acting that out? It's a big question, and I'm not saying I have the answer,
but that's a charged thing you can understand. A haunting, again, it's like the laundry room. I just don't understand. That one's just getting me a little bit.
Yeah, maybe she just. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a charged thing, so maybe she just really, really hated doing laundry so much.
No, that's what I was saying. But this is the White House, so things will be white.
Ooh,
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you, even back then at that level of scrutiny and power that you have in that position, you got to keep it clean, man. Yeah. The appearance still counts. Even before TV and stuff, I would think that your appearance would count. So newspapers are going to write about it later.
Don't think we're going to solve this one.
Yeah. All right, so moving on then, we have the ultimate interloper ghost on our list. Let me now tell you about the ghost of the British fire starter. Going back to constitutioncenter.org for this one.
Is this Guy Fawkes again?
British fire starter. The most traumatic incident in White House history was its destruction by British troops in 1814. A royal soldier apparently died in the attack after he helped set fire to the White House. And there are reports he occasionally returns to finish the job.
Dang.
One incident was reported a few years after the Truman-era restoration, where the spirit was seen trying to set a bed on fire.
Dang.
Also, there was a major fire in the West Wing during the Hoover administration on Christmas Eve in 1929. Officially, it was a clogged fireplace flue that started the blaze.
Unofficially, it's this dude, this British dude.
Exactly. This guy has been trying to burn down the White House for 210 years now.
Again, makes more sense than the laundry room, but okay.
I mean, he's definitely a bloody British bastard, but you have to respect the tenacity, man.
I know.
Like, this guy's not giving up.
I agree.
He's not giving up.
Yep.
Over 200 years trying to burn the place down. I got to give him some kind of respect on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wonder if Guy Fawkes is still trying to blow something up in the afterlife.
Oh, yeah. I bet he haunts the tunnels under Parliament. I bet he does.
Yeah.
I bet he does.
Why not?
How could he not?
Yeah.
Like, how could he not?
Yeah. Gotta do it right this
just
time.
Just makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have a bit of a smorgasbord of spirits for you. Here are some other noteworthily odd experiences that have been had at the White House. First, a ghost sniffing dog.
There you go.
This from ranker.com again. You want to read this one for us, Moz?
Ronald Reagan's daughter was visited by a strange figure. Throughout the Reagan administration, the first dog, Lucky, would bark randomly at nothing. At one point, he even stood on his hind legs, barking at an unseen entity on the ceiling. Creepiest story, however, is one that Reagan told at a White House dinner. President Reagan laughed and said, "I might as well tell you the rest. A member of our family, his daughter Maureen, and her husband always stay in the Lincoln bedroom when they visit the White House. Some time ago, the husband woke up and saw a transparent figure standing at the bedroom window looking out. Then it turned and disappeared. His wife teased him mercilessly about it for a month. Then when they were here recently, she woke up one morning and saw the same figure standing at the window looking out. She could see the trees right through it. Again, it turned and disappeared."
They did not assign a name to the ghost, but it was in the Lincoln bedroom. So, one's mind goes to Lincoln's ghost. Was it Abe Lincoln?
Mm-hmm.
But without mention of the top hat or any other distinguishing features, it's impossible to say. I mean, could it have been the Thing? Could it have been young Willie Lincoln standing at the window in the Lincoln bedroom?
Yeah. It's inconclusive.
Yeah.
But the fact that it got validated, those are the cooler stories. When someone laughs and says, "Ha ha," and then sees it, and then you hear that story from a former president. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. The fact that both of them saw it, and he's willing to repeat it, take them at their word on it. There you go. Tells you something. And that's one of the more recent ones as well. The Reagan administration. It's still kind of old as far as things go, but for these stories, it's definitely one of the most recent known ghost encounters at the White House. I think they just don't tell us about it anymore. Honestly, I really think they just don't talk about that stuff. Yeah,
it's the Scully Muggles have won in many ways.
Yeah.
It's passe.
Sad.
Yep.
All right. Well, next we have the pompous ghost, as I think of him. Same source. Headline: David Burns's disembodied voice declares his own presence. David Burns was the man who sold the U.S. government the land where the White House now sits. Remember that point. His spirit is said to still reside there. President Franklin D. Roosevelt once heard a disembodied voice say, quote, "I am Mr. Burns," unquote, while he was standing alone in the yellow Oval Room. Years later, during Harry Truman's presidency, a security guard heard the same voice and went looking for Secretary of State James Burns, spelled differently, thinking it was him calling out his name. He later discovered that James Burns wasn't in that day.
There you go.
Yeah.
And there's a follow-up story to that.
He just walks around, "I am Mr. Burns.
I am Mr. Burns." And
that would be like Maz's ghost walking around just going, "I am the Maz.
I am the great and flighty Maz."
There you go. But something that stood out to me there, just because we are who we are here on this podcast, the original owner of the land haunting the big fancy building the buyers built there. Does this remind you of anything, Moss?
Yeah, the elemental spirits and the spirits of the land and kind of rising up and taking a form.
What previous episode of Monster Lore Tour does that make you think of? How's that for? I'll be a little more direct. Rich guy sells a piece of land. They build a big fancy building on it, and then the guy who owned the land haunts it later.
Oh yeah, the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah, Lord Dunraven at the Stanley Hotel.
Lord Dunraven,
the ass grabby ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
He was the original owner who sold Stanley the land to build the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park.
Yeah, you are Lord Dunraven.
Yeah, episode 12. Check it out.
Did you Lord Dunraven me?
Ooh. I might after the episode, you cheeky bastard. Any hoot. And next we have this one with the headline, Harry Truman's study was haunted by presidential spirits. President Harry Truman wrote to his wife Bess with tales of spirits and ghouls in June of 1945, just 2 months into his presidency. The president was attempting to conduct his usual business, quote, all the while listening to the ghosts walk up and down the hallway and even right in here in the study, unquote. Truman then described pops in the floor and eerily swaying drapes, hypothesizing that the ghosts of Andrew Jackson and Teddy Roosevelt were having an argument.
There you go.
I don't know why he brought in Teddy Roosevelt, because that's the only time I've ever heard the concept of a Teddy Roosevelt ghost being in the place. I would have thought Andrew Jackson and Abe Lincoln, you know?
Inconclusive. But the banshee stops here, he was later quoted as saying.
There you go. The variable I would enter into this equation is that Truman was less than 2 months away from dropping nuclear bombs on Japan when this happened. We were in one of the darkest parts of the war.
Yep.
Could it have been his own energies manifesting to create the ghostly happenings?
Yeah,
creating his own poltergeist?
Pre-warning poltergeist phenomenon.
Yeah. So that would be my question there.
Yeah. You should be haunted, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And for last, we actually have a 21st century White House ghost story from the days of the W. This is the most recent I was able to find. But Jenna Bush, daughter of George W. Bush, heard creepy 1920s music coming from her fireplace.
Haven't we all?
Jenna Bush, daughter of President George W. Bush, claimed that one night in the White House, she heard 1920s era music emanating from her fireplace. She ran to her sister Barbara's room in fear, but Barbara simply shrugged her off. Jenna then dared Barbara to spend the night in the haunted room the following evening, leading both to hear the music again. Ooh, huh? Mm-hmm. When the girls told White House staffers about the disturbance, they confirmed that the mysterious music played regularly. How's that?
Bugged by Putin.
One of them heard it, then both of them heard it,
yeah.
And then they went to the staff who work there all the time and have been there a long time, and they're like, we're hearing weird music coming out of the fireplace at night. And they're like, oh yeah, that happens a lot.
I still say Putin, you know?
Oh, that's it's picking up some AM traffic accidentally in the transmitter.
You know, sometimes this little Sputnik backfires a little bit. But,
the messages are flowing the wrong way.
Yep. There you go. No, that's a cool one. I hope we get more. I hope that people come forward. I hope people aren't afraid to tell some of these, give Reagan some credit for saying, I guess I'll tell the story because you started it. I'll finish it. Or we never would have heard that again. Or, just, be brave.
You just made me think of the UFOs are now UAPs because the government reclassified them, but that's only so they could get rid of the foo-foo-ness attached to the UFOs, give it a new name so they could start talking about it in public and actually admitting to things. Disclosures has been forthcoming for a while. Everyone wishes it was faster, but the government's always moving slow, and the fact that they're doing it at all is encouraging to me.
Yep.
But maybe if they're moving that way on the aliens, UAPs, whatever you want to call it side, maybe we should start pushing them a little bit on this side with the ghost stuff and the spirit, the more energetic spirit kind of thing.
Yeah.
because we don't know what's connected. We can see here on this podcast that you start looking at stuff enough, and things that you never thought might be connected suddenly seem very connected.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it definitely is. Again, I don't claim to have answers, but I think we should research these things more. And like, how cool would it be to have official government research going on in the White House as far as the ghosts go?
Yeah.
It could be very passive, but, put in some people to bring in that special equipment and maybe once in a while scan the place and actually have someone to report, hey, something weird's going on over here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And actually have a person for that. That would be really cool.
Ain't going to happen.
Secretary of Spirits, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know. I think I can see that, being ill-funded.
And this is why I will never get elected to office.
That's right. Yep. So this guy is a crank, man.
Like, this guy's no.
Yeah.
Like, just keep making your podcast. You're fine on the podcast. Just stay in your lane, dude.
Stay in your lane.
But that does it for my report on the Ghost of the White House for this November 5th Election Day release. Our members at patreon.com/monsterlore get to listen to it on Election Day. Mm-hmm. Everyone else actually has to wait. I forget how I think only next week is the compilation. So you'll hear it the week after the election for everybody else.
There you go.
So, $1. If you gave us $1 this month, you could have listened to this in a much more timely fashion.
We could have been in the White House with our gadgets. $1 a month will get us a man in the White House.
There you go.
In the fireplace.
If we get 1 million Patreon followers, we can probably maybe pull that off. Maybe.
So a man in the fireplace.
You have, I don't know, even 1 million. You might have to be like Taylor Swift level popular to be able to get them
pull that off.
To do have them let you do a ghost investigation.
Depends on who the administration is. You get somebody in there that's open to this stuff. You never know.
I guess the right celebrity or something.
That's right. We have an actor president. We've had an entertainer president.
Yeah.
Who knows? Sky's the limit.
That's all entertainment at this point anyway, right?
Yep. And it's pretty interesting entertainment for sure.
Yeah. But all right, we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks everybody for coming. Especially thanks to those members at patreon.com/monsterloretour that got to listen to this on Election Day in the member section. Really appreciate you. We will let you go on that. Until the next time, stay groovy, baby.